Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Kevin Currie-Knight. I'll be your instructor for Education 3002, Introduction to Human Diversity. So I'd like to welcome you to the class. So you're probably seeing this through the announcements section of the class. So the purpose of this video, I want to give you a very brief introduction of what we're doing in this class, what we're going to do, and then I want to walk you through what you're going to do for week 1 and then week 2. So the very basics of Blackboard. There's another video that goes more in depth into Blackboard, so this one will be pretty basic. So why this class? Why are we focusing on Introduction to Human Diversity? Well, an interesting study that MTV and Viacom did, I'll link to the study in the video, found that the majority of millennials, which is the tail end, you're at the tail end of the millennial generation, a large majority embrace diversity and think having conversations about diversity and fighting intolerance when we see it is really important. But a majority also find that they really don't feel like they have the tools to actually fight intolerance and talk about diversity. And they also don't think that there's any good way to have productive conversations about diversity. And that, by and large, is my mission for this course, is to get people a little bit more comfortable with ideas about diversity. So, I mean, I imagine that most of us feel like we're pretty tolerant, and I'm sure that most of us are. And this class is going to introduce us not only to different kinds of diversity, so racial diversity, diversity of sex, gender, and sexual preference, religious diversity, diversity of socioeconomic class, those types of things, but are also going to get a bit philosophical about what causes things like discrimination against different types of diversity. Why should we embrace diversity? Why does diversity even exist in the first place? What are the facts that lead to racial differences, differences in sex, gender, and things like that? What does a term like race even mean? So we're going to get into all of those things that I think most people don't really get a chance to talk about. So the first half of the class, I have to warn you, I'm a philosopher by trade. So the first half of the class is going to get into those more abstract issues. Why should we value diversity is the first thing this week. What is diversity? What are the cognitive biases that we all have that lead to not only discrimination and bias, but systemic discrimination throughout society, an unequal playing field that's just part of the very system that we live in. If you're like most of the people who've taken my course in the fall, you know, we all think we're pretty tolerant, and to a large degree we are. But I'm also going to show you evidence that shows us that even the most tolerant of people probably suffers from hidden biases. And if we can really identify what those biases are, you know, we can kind of work on getting beyond those to become the best teachers that we can be. That's the first half of the semester. The second half, we're really going to take and apply these things to actually, you know, different kinds of existing diversity. Racial diversity, what does it mean to even talk about race? Sex, gender, and sexuality, what are these kinds of diversity? Are sex differences biological? Are some of them socially constructed? So, you know, when we see disparities in sex and gender outcomes, is that really because of biological differences? Is it because of socially constructed differences? And how do we tell which is which? Sexual preference, we're going to get into. Socioeconomic class, we're going to talk about things like the culture of poverty and how the idea that the poor are really kind of a different kind of people. We're going to talk about, you know, how we can challenge those myths. So now that we've gone through kind of a brief idea of what we're going to do in class, I want to share my screen with you so that we can get into Blackboard and I can kind of show you what we're going to do in terms of finding our way around Blackboard. So if you're in Blackboard, you probably are in the announcement section, which is where you've seen this video. Most of the work that we do in this course is going to be in course documents. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go into course documents. And I've set this up really week by week. So week 1, you should go into week 1's folder. And you're going to find the stuff that you should do week 1. And it's going to be chronological. So you're going to watch this video first. You're going to go to this video next, which is going to introduce the reading. You're going to do the reading. It's a very short reading for this week. And then we're going to go into the discussion forum. So at the bottom of every post that you see, I'm going to turn my edit feature off so you can see the student view. You're going to go into the discussion forum, and I'll have some threads. So you'll have the entire week to create your 3 posts that you're responsible for each week. And I have to warn you that each week's readings, so the readings that are due for week 2, starting next week, I'm sorry, starting on the 19th, are going to be in week two's folder. So by the 19th, you should have gotten into week two's folder. It looks like week two. I'll have to reconstruct that. That's no, okay, that's that. Those are the correct readings for week two. So week two, you're going to want to have these done by the start of week two. So week one, you're kind of doing double duty. And then week three, of course, all the readings for week three are going to be in week three's folder. You're going to have that done by the Monday that starts week three. And then you're going to go into the discussion forums after that. If you want to look at the syllabus, you go down here to syllabus and it shows you that. It shows you that as a Google document. And of course, you can go into the announcements to refresh your memory. So for this week, you're going to do two things. You're going to go into week one's folder and you're going to look at week one's readings and viewings. And then you're going to do your discussion forum. And then once you've done that, you're going to go back into course document and you're going to start on the readings for week two. So it looks like we have videos to watch. You're going to want to watch these videos by the start of week two. And then once week two is underway, you're going to go into the discussion forum and do that. So any questions you have about that, feel free to email me and I can address those. We want to make sure that we have as good of an experience as possible. So I'll stop screen sharing here. And like I said, email me with any questions and I'll see you in the discussion forums.